AJ? Why are you ducking behind the counter?
There's something in the podcast pantry.
Other than the 5 podcasts we still have to release?
I heard something move in there.
We don't have time for this. We need to edit the next episode.
Don't go in there!
Jesus!
Ella?
Oh, hey guys.
How long have you been in there?
When did we record Summerween?
3 years ago?
No, 3 years then. It's actually pretty cozy in here. Got my computer, my microphone, a little pillow and blanket.
How did you survive in there for... Flork? Mr. Adequate Bar Dots? Have you been living off of loser candy this whole time?
Well, I also ate your first 2 Trolls podcasts.
Oh, how were they?
The first one made me feel really happy for a few minutes, but it wore off.
And the second one?
It was a little better. Made me weirdly hyper-aware of colorblind racism and internalized homophobia.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
I could have told you that.
Exactly it.
Did you see the Summerween can in there?
Let's see. Here you go.
Thank you.
Ooh, be right back.
Hey, are you guys gonna do your Dog with a Blog podcast?
Okay, Mary! I was getting some not loser candy for Ella! Motherfuck!
Don't stop on my account, but I do need to check something with my camera, so just a sec.
Alright.
Hello?
Oh. Hi.
Hello?
Who is this?
My name is AJ.
This is a podcast.
What's your podcast
It's not really, I'm sort of just a guest here. Like, it's not, not my house. So AJ, do you want to explain to our friend here what you do around here?
Well, we are kind of a show that talks about this old Disney show called Gravity Falls. The whole gimmick is that I know nothing about the show, I've never seen it, and my co-host, it's her favorite show of all time.
She's supposed to be here now. I'm getting a little concerned that you ate her.
Do you like scary movies?
I've seen a few,
I've been watching scary movies since I was 2.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Well, I guess it depends on, there's kind of psychological horror, and then there's, like, blood and gore, like, slasher movies. That's not really my thing. I kind of like ones that say something about, the world, and that's kind of the scary part. I understand that you want movie recommendations. Is that the only reason that you've, I'll say, slithered into this podcast?
Well, if you have some, I'll take them, or I can provide some psychological horror, some social issue horror, if you would like.
Are you on?
Oh, I think we experienced that enough with the world, so I don't think we kind of need to delve into that.
I can see that horror can also be used as escapism. Do you have Letterboxd? Are you on there? I could make a list for you.
I'm not on Letterboxd, but if you could just send me a link.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm sorry. I hate to be rude. We should have asked what your name is, right?
My name is Specter.
Okay, that sounded like you made it up on the spot, though. Are you sure?
I am legally distinct from Ghostface.
Gotcha.
I just want to know your favorite scary movie. It's a coincidence.
Well, I mean, I know what you did last summer is kind of all right.
I don't know if it technically qualifies as a scary movie, but I do like the episode Summerween from Gravity Falls.
I'm leaving.
Oh, no.
If you want to talk about this more, like, you could hit me up on Twitter.
What are you guys talking about?
Oh, Mary, you missed it.
Hey, Mary.
We made a new friend.
Where'd you go?
Oh.
Their name
cool.
was Specter.
Like Phil Spector?
Maybe.
I believe she said Ghostface, but legally distinct from Ghostface.
All right, well, I think I figured out what's going on with my camera,
Okay.
so I will fix that.
Awesome.
There we go.
Spooky time!
Fuck yeah! Hey!
Welcome to Into the Falls, a Gravity Falls podcast. I'm Mary, and I know lots of things.
I'm AJ, and I know Nothing.
This is a podcast where I guide AJ through the wonderful weirdness of Gravity Falls, my favorite show that he has never seen.
If you're a new arrival like me, or looking to relive some crazy summer memories, come with us and let's dive into the falls.
So, the listeners can't tell what my makeup looks like, but I just felt like dressing up a little.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you want to get a little fancy.
Everyone floats where you live?
Does what float?
I guess everything, right?
Just everyone.
Oh, yeah. No, they all float.
All of them? That sounds statistically unlikely. Surely they do not all float down there.
No, I don't know what it is down here, but they all float down here.
I hate to be a bother, but I made this paper boat the other day, and it was really cool, and I know...
Oh, no, that's mine now.
Yeah, well, can I have it?
It fell down here, so it's mine now.
But can I have it back?
No, even if I wanted to give it back to you, I don't know where it is. Like, they all float.
Oh,
so, it floated away, I couldn't catch it.
Oh, okay. But it's still yours.
You're gonna have to
You don't know where it is, but it is yours.
If I did know where it was, it would be mine. So just, go back to your brother and have him make you another one.
I'll go back to my home in Maine.
It's probably in the Atlantic by now.
Yeah, okay. I'll just go home to my overbearing fundamentalist Christian mother who locks me in a closet and tells me that I'm the devil.
All because you had your first period.
I know, right? It's not my fault she never told me what a period was.
I mean, if you were down here, the blood wouldn't come out. It would just stay
float
up there.
Oh,
inside
into the rest of my body. Wonderful. I don't like that.
So,
all right,
we're
so
talking
Summerween.
Season 1, Episode 12, Summerween.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
My Face ID does not recognize me, so I have to put in my full passcode, but I'll get my notes out.
Your phone is like, no, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. And then you go, well, my name is Mary. Now we're not strangers.
My name is Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Your name is Mary's iPhone 11. And now we know each other.
There you go.
So we are talking about Season 1, Episode 12, Summerween, our first seasonal special. And here with us is friend of the show, co-host of Mystery Shack Lookback, Ella Cesari.
Hi.
Everyone clap for Ella.
My name is Ella the Dancing Clown. Halloween is my favorite holiday ever, which is why I specifically wanted to guest on this episode.
Halloween just emanates from you.
Well, I hope so, ideally.
Is there a reason other than liking Halloween that this is your favorite episode?
Yeah, it is. It's a really strong story. It's simultaneously a fantastic Halloween special and a fantastic Gravity Falls episode. There are certain specials, maybe this applies more to Christmas, at least in my opinion, where they don't really, it feels weird to watch them not on the holiday. But this is such a strong story that I feel like I'm always in the mood to watch it.
And they also justify it at the very beginning, and that's also kind of what the writers were doing, is just saying it's Halloween now, don't worry about it, it's Halloween.
They justify it by they love Halloween so much they have 2 of them. What, you think that's a bad idea? I think that's a wonderful idea.
I would love to have 2 Halloweens. I love dressing up. I love doing this shit. I would love if there were 2 Halloweens. I would love if there were 18 Halloweens.
You can make that happen. You can decide that if you wake up one day and say, you know what? Today's Halloween number 5.
I could, and then I can encourage my friends to do it, and so on and so forth. And if enough people do it, eventually it'll just be a universal thing.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah.
AJ, do you like Halloween?
I've always liked Halloween. It's been pretty fun to dress up in a costume and go around and ask people for candy, which is basically kind of how we celebrate Halloween in my house. My mom's not a big fan of scary stuff, and she's Christian, so it's just been kind of limited to dressing up and going trick-or-treating and getting candy.
So you don't sacrifice a virgin?
You know.
I mean,
you don't
everybody,
summon the Halloween demons?
Everybody has their thing. I get it. Everybody has their different household traditions.
Yeah, we've had some good costumes.
This is a question for both of you. I'm going to let Ella answer it first since she's our guest. What is the most elaborate costume you have ever done, Halloween or otherwise?
The most elaborate. I cosplayed young Greg Universe once from Steven Universe, and I made a cardboard version of his van and kind of wore it. You know how you can wear a little car as a costume with straps on your shoulders?
Yeah.
I made that. That was not Halloween, though. I think to limit it to Halloween, the one off the top of my head, when I was maybe 5 or 6, I was a SpongeBob kid. You know.
Unlike some people.
I don't even remember if it was my idea or if it was literally just my parents dressing me up to parade me around like a circus animal, because they made out of like poster board and styrofoam and all this stuff a giant box like SpongeBob costume, and I was inside it, and there were 2 little eye holes. It was basically a scaled down version of like a theme park mascot costume made out of poster board, and I was inside it, and I had yellow long sleeves and yellow pants to pop out of the holes, and we had like foam on the inside so it would rest on my body relatively comfortably, and it turned into a character meet and greet because everyone wanted a picture with the giant SpongeBob.
So I was just looking at my little square in the Discord call. I just started laughing because I look like Ronald McDonald's dog.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald.
I'll look for a picture.
He has a steady diet of Big Macs. I don't think you're supposed to... He loves his Big Macs.
AJ, what's been your most elaborate costume?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think the most elaborate one was in high school. I was in the theater program, and so I got to participate as a zombie in our annual haunted house. So I ripped up a shirt, I got to put grunge and dirt and fake blood on it, and I got
It's
to have
jam.
my makeup done all dead-like, and we scared the bejesus out of people sundown until like midnight.
So you hate
It
being
was-
scared, but you gleefully scared other people all
He
night.
can dish it out, but he can't take it.
Yeah.
I mean, all I had to do was be stationed out in the hallway, and when people would be coming, all I had to do was like walk with a limp and moan, and that's basically
yeah,
it.
like a Halloween Horror Nights
Which,
thing.
I mean, it's pretty easy, but surprisingly tiring when you're doing it for like 6 hours on end.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got pizza at the end of it, so
Yeah,
and
and
it
you're-
was a great bonding
you're nourished
experience.
by the screams
it's one of
of
my
children
favorite high school
anyway.
memories.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
I definitely think that DIYing the costumes is one of the biggest appeals of Halloween, at least for me. You know, I still do like cosplay and all that stuff. I'm not that hardcore into it to where I'm like sewing like my own costumes, but I definitely, the pure like right out of the box store-bought ones don't really do it for me, so I'm like, let's assemble other pieces of other outfits and kind of bring it all together. And that's basically how I just dress normally anyway. It's just a slightly
That's basically-
toned down version of Halloween.
That's basically how I've done Halloween every year since like high school. The store-bought costumes like aren't accurate enough for me, so I get like all the pieces. Like when I was Mabel, I got the sweater that I wore when we did Irrational Treasure. I got the right color skirt that she had, and I got a pencil skirt because that's what I always thought she was wearing, because it was just like a straight line. I didn't realize like, oh, it's just like a normal skirt. And I got like the black flats and the socks and the right colored headband and everything.
Yeah.
I brought a little pig plushie with me. The most elaborate Halloween costume I've done was sophomore year of college. I was the house from Up. And at no point did it occur to me that I could have just taken one cardboard box and colored it, like put construction paper over it to make it look like the house. I was like cutting out all these different pieces and
Oh,
then
you went the
attaching them
extra mile.
together to make the house. And I only trick-or-treated for like 20 minutes because it was late by the time my friend
Was
and I
it
got out.
what year was that?
2017.
Nice. What'd you do for the balloons? Was it just regular balloons?
Yeah, I just got balloons and I taped them to like straws or something, and I taped them
Nice.
to the back of the house, and I was like constantly having to hold it up. Like I made like a little wooden porch and everything. I was just like trying to
awesome.
hold it up. It wasn't really staying together, and the balloons were falling off. So, and like the way I was holding it, the wood was like pricking my hand. So we just like went back, took off our costumes, and like we were done for the
there's
night.
something to be said about stamina for trick-or-treating.
Well, I really like how this episode kind of just gets off to a crashing start right off the bat with
Literally.
Stan freaking running over a parking curb.
handicapped
and,
space.
Oh, look, there's the
It's a handicap
Summerween
spot.
store.
I think I just realized that on this rewatch was like, oh, he's parking in a handicap
Which,
spot.
I
Also,
mean,
like,
he is actually unable to see the road. We know this. So he technically is
true.
allowed to park in a handicapped space.
The original opening
yeah.
was he came into the attic and his face melted off, and like that's how he introduced Summerween to the kids. In this one, he, for all we know, just threw them in his car and was like, we're going. And they're like, where are we going? He's like, don't worry about it, we're leaving now. And then he got to the superstore and explained Summerween to them. So like they were just waiting that whole time to be like, where is he taking us?
Seuss was like in on it. Like Seuss knew but didn't explain either.
Yeah, and the kids are probably like, oh, Seuss is here. That means we're going somewhere good.
That means that if we get into legal trouble, Seuss will bail us out.
And plus, this previously happened in The Legend of the Gobblewonkers. Stan has probably jacked them like this like 3 or 4 times
Yeah,
now.
like, hop in, we're going somewhere. Oh boy, yay.
It stresses me out though because they find out on the day of that it's Summerween. Like there's apparently they haven't heard of it anywhere else. Like they don't have time to plan their costumes.
They do not have time to prepare for that. That is very
Give them
irresponsible.
like a few weeks. Like God.
Because I need to think about what
But
I'm
isn't
doing
it
for Halloween.
truly in the spirit of the season to just go to Spirit Halloween like the day of and just wing
true.
it?
That's also fun.
I went to Spirit Halloween the day of this recording and bought a voice changer so I could do the ghost face thing, and it doesn't work for shit.
Oh no.
I'm just out $10.
I need to figure out what I'm going to be for Halloween, like in July. I need time.
So the store apparently sells wheelbarrows,
And giant barrels of fake blood.
industrial-sized fake blood, for all your prom night needs.
So when did the Summerween Superstore open, starting in maybe May, or is it only open for that day?
It was that day.
Yeah,
It was
okay,
that-
so maybe
it's only
Stan
open
is a
on
little
Summerween.
bit... Stan is justified in not letting them know until that day because no one in town starts preparing until that day.
It's like Tinker Day at Holland's. No one knows when it is until 12 hours before. They're
Yeah,
just
and
like,
that
it's
girl,
Summerween now.
that cashier at the store, she just hates life.
That poor kid.
She's probably making minimum wage or something.
Probably.
Oh, for sure.
Pay her more if she has to deal with this crap.
I'm sure the Summerween Superstore used to be a Blockbuster or something. The last remaining Blockbuster, I think, was in Oregon, or one of the last remaining Blockbusters was in Oregon, so, it was definitely in Gravity Falls, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's been established on this podcast we think the last blockbuster would be in Gravity Falls.
Okay, I don't
and
know if
it
I...
remains
Did I hear
relatively
that in an
popular.
episode that already came out, or did you record that?
I don't remember talking about that.
I don't remember
Fascinating.
either.
Okay,
It's just probably true.
before we get too far into the episode proper, the Gravity Falls costumes. The only thing I really remember about, the whole out-of-the-box licensed costumes being terrible thing for Gravity Falls is that
Out of the box.
the Dipper and Mabel officially licensed costumes had name tags. Dipper wore a little name tag that said Dipper on it, and Mabel wore a little name tag that said Mabel on it. And as far as I know, these were sewn onto the vest and sweater.
I feel like I remember this.
Yeah.
Get easy?
What's that?
If that's not the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my
it's
life.
just the same thing as in the 60s, where it's what? This is a Wolfman costume, but I have a t-shirt that has the Wolfman's face on it, and it says the word Wolfman on it.
I'm just imagining the t-shirt saying that. This is a Wolfman costume, but it has Wolfman's face on it.
That's what it says.
That sounds like a joke Gravity Falls would make.
It is, pretty much. I always forget this episode gave us Stan Bucks. That's a classic.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, we haven't seen Stan Bucks until now.
It's money.
It's money!
So what was your loser candy? Was there anything growing up that you just refused to eat in your bag?
I'm gonna start off by saying black licorice is objectively the shittest candy ever created by mankind.
I don't think I ever got black licorice.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't even
I don't
know
think
there
anyone
was
ever gave it to me because everyone hates it.
I only knew
Yeah.
that there was a stigma against black licorice because of that one Flash game on Nickelodeon.com where there's kids trick-or-treating at your door, and if you give them black licorice, they turn into monsters.
Candy corn, saltwater taffy, not that bad.
I don't really like candy corn, but I'll eat it if there's nothing else. Saltwater taffy is fine.
Saltwater taffy just doesn't feel very Halloween-y.
But I would eat basically everything in my bag except for Almond Joy, Mounds, Payday, anything that had peanuts aside from Snickers or Take 5. I would eat all the off-brand gummy stuff. I would eat all the orange Starburst once the good ones were gone. I would settle for them.
Mary doesn't like to eat nuts.
Boo.
It's true, I don't.
I mean, yeah, we
You think
already...
I haven't made that joke before?
I mean, let's be trans-inclusive here. We don't actually know that for a fact, but I was rather picky about candy. I feel like anything that didn't have some element of chocolate in it, I wasn't really super into. People give out, pixie sticks, and so I basically became my friend's dealer. I was just like, hey, I don't want these. You want them? And they were like, yeah, hit me. I was like, okay. What I can't relate to is the idea of just throwing it all out, because there's always somebody who likes them, I feel like I never...
Yeah.
I didn't want them to go to waste. I even, my parents would just, bring them to, their workplaces even, and just hey, who wants these that we don't want?
I was so bad at packing lunches in high school that after Halloween, if I had just a ton of candy left over, that would just be my lunch because I didn't feel like making a sandwich or anything, so I'd just pack fun-sized Snickers in a Target bag and go.
Yeah, that's acceptable. I feel like
That's
and then
not healthy.
you run out of Halloween candy just in time for Easter.
Yeah. Wendy is in it. She doesn't have a huge role, but Dipper's crush on her kind of takes over. I think this is like the first time outside of like flashbacks and fantasy sequences that we've seen Wendy and Robbie in like different outfits. Like Wendy's wearing a dress for the first time and Robbie's wearing a skeleton hoodie.
Like,
I love Wendy's outfit.
I suppose they're not like technically.
It's really cute.
For a second there, when watching it, I was like, what's Wendy supposed to be dressed up as?
Yeah.
Because, you know, Halloween is so associated with costumes for me that it's like, oh, everybody's doing it. But then the big plot point of this episode is like, Dipper doesn't want to appear childish in front of Wendy because trick-or-treating, that's
only
for little kids.
Dress up and go get candy.
You know what? My thing is the party is at 9. Trick-or-treating doesn't go that long because kids are in bed pretty early. Dipper could have just gone trick-or-treating and then gone to the party if he wanted.
Maybe.
I know then he wouldn't have learned his lesson, but he could have.
Maybe. And the 500
I love that. I love that bit right there. Trick or treat. Or die.
That sort of takes the fun out of Trick or Treat
That
or
was like
Die.
genius. That was so corny, it was genius.
Trying to take the die out of Trick or Treat or Die.
Die out of Trick or Treat or Die. Dipper is just getting everyone punished in this episode because of his bullshit. He won't give the Summerween trickster candy, so everyone is gonna die.
My question...
And then, like, he's not in costume, so nobody gets candy, and then he, like,
throws all
the candy into the bushes, so everyone gets chased.
Punishing the whole class for one kid. The trickster, I guess him showing up at the shack saying Trick or Treat was just kind of a bit anyway because he was mad at Dipper.
I always thought he like somehow sensed that Dipper was being difficult, so he showed up to threaten him.
But if it were a normal night and he didn't see anyone that was making him upset, does he go around trick-or-treating so he can gather more candy to add onto his body? That's kind of what I thought he does on a
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Or he lives in the sewers.
Maybe he still lives at the dump.
Grenda wet herself. Why didn't they let her get changed before they went out?
Now, some might say that being cursed by a bloodthirsty holiday monster is a bad thing.
I wet myself.
I do love the solemn acknowledgement that, like, she nods. She's like, I wet myself.
I wet myself.
She's like, I know, it's scary. I wet myself.
I love that Candy has the pretty pink flip phone, and the photo of him has these, like, DSi 3DS
stickers,
effects with, like, stickers.
And isn't this the first time that Candy and Grenda are actually returning?
Yeah. We haven't seen them since Double Dipper.
I love them.
But they're Mabel's best friends. Their friendship blossomed very fast.
I'm glad, because they're very good
together. I mean,
together.
with Mabel, you kind of have to expect it. She seems like the person to make friends really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch on how Stan, some of the stuff he's doing to scare these kids is, like, genuinely scary, and it's like these ungrateful little turds are just so desensitized to modern horror, I guess. It's just like, it doesn't faze them. This old man put in a lot of work to try to scare you to death.
At least pretend to be scared for his sake.
They're second graders. They're ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids are little shits.
I'm actually honestly more scared to be at the age where I'm giving out candy to children than I ever was to trick or treat. Kids say mean things without a filter. Like, what if they comment on my appearance or personality?
You can just refuse to give them candy or give them the shittiest candy.
Maybe.
Give them the Whoppers.
I could make
Smarties.
No, but we don't want to create another trickster situation. We need to treat
Ella,
all
it's a
candy
cartoon, okay? It's not
with
real.
value. Are you sure about that? How can you be sure?
Okay, it's real in my heart, but other than that, the tone of this episode is it's like an 80s kids kind of horror movie, like Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Or like The Gate. I've never seen either of those. I've just seen clips of them, but it's like R.L. Stine, Stephen King. It's fun.
Feels kind of Stranger Things without being Stranger Things.
Yeah.
There's a candy wrapper that says Blorch.
Blorch.
Oh, yeah.
With like
the O is like an
umlaut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blorch.
Oh, Mr. Average Bar. I like that.
Mr. Adequate Bar. Homework the candy.
Sandpop is probably my favorite because it's so blunt.
My favorite is gelatin product.
Yeah.
I would eat it.
It's just being
honest. I wouldn't love it, but I would eat it.
I've never even heard of these brands. Sandpop? Gummy chairs? Mr. Adequate Bar?
Stan and Waddles made a very dynamic duo, with Waddles being the chest burster. I don't know how Stan hid that giant pig under his undershirt.
I'm surprised he was on board for that.
I think Waddles wants his approval. He wants to be loved.
Yeah, he's
and
new
he is
around the
loved.
household.
He wants to fit in, really.
Exactly.
So the kids, when they trick-or-treat at Toby's, at the Gravity Falls Gossiper, they're, like, horrified by his face, but they've met him a couple of times.
Hello!
What a horrible mask!
That's just my face. This is a mask. Ah.
Yeah. It's actually better.
I think they just forget every time how horrible he looks.
I think it's the meanest that anyone is to Toby over the course of the series.
It's really awful, and they straight up say when he puts the mask on, like, oh, that's actually better.
Oh, it's better, yeah. Toby's pathetic when he's trying to be scary.
He's trying to scare them, but his heart's not in it. Jennifer Coolidge as Lazy Susan, once again, it's amazing. She improv'd what she thought their costumes were, just like squeegee. Ant Farm, Elephant Man. Was she referencing the real life Elephant Man? Like, did she think Seuss was dressed as John Merrick?
I don't know.
What was Candy's?
Oh, I don't.
No. Grenda's was Chimney Sweep, and then Candy's was Squeegee.
Chimney Sweep, Elephant Man, Squeegee, Ant Farm.
She's so funny.
She's so confident about it. Ant Farm. I would get really embarrassed when they tried to identify the costume, because if they get it wrong and you have to correct them, it's a very awkward situation.
I mean, especially if it's a costume that you're very passionate about, and then the candy giver at the door couldn't care less.
You always get the question, what are you supposed to be? Which, when I was a kid, was a question that I only got on Halloween, and then after I transitioned is a question I get every day when I walk down the street. But,
It's just people asking what your larger destiny is.
Yeah, okay,
what
I see
are you
what they're
supposed
saying.
to be?
They're kind of mentor figuring me. It's something I meant to touch on earlier, that trick-or-treating and dressing up every year was a gateway for me into, embracing femininity, because it's that for someone being coerced into a certain gender, Halloween is probably the only time you have a pass to cross-dress or do something gender non-conforming. Is that was some of my first times embracing femininity, or any kind of gender non-conformity. You have that cover, which is probably part of the appeal, at least for me.
Dipper could have made up a costume out of his...
He's a palette swapped
He could have
Ash
lied
from Pokemon.
and made something up.
Yeah, he could have said he was something. I don't know.
I get
it
why...
takes him so long to put the costume on. It's dude... You gotta do this. Stop faking the cough
Dragging
you're
your
gonna
feet.
die. It feels a little bit out of character for him to be so reluctant. I get why he's reluctant to go trick-or-treating, because he wants to feel like he's grown up and he wants to impress these older kids. But his life is in danger.
It's all about Wendy.
It's not really like him to put his life at risk for that.
All for a girl.
But I don't know. He's 12 and he thinks he's in love.
He probably thought nah, he's not really gonna kill us.
Maybe.
I mean, he said he
literally
said he did, but
Yeah, he killed a kid right in front of them, and the things they've seen, they almost got murdered by wax figures.
Traumatized!
Yeah, so much.
I've been traumatized.
What's up, Gordy?
Trick or treat. My name is Gorny. Remember me!
Gorny!
Everyone around town loves and respects Gordy.
What's up, Gorny?
Traumatized.
The reason that Lazy Susan only gave a little bit of candy to everybody maybe wasn't just because Dipper wasn't dressed as anything, but because he specifically said, we're in a hurry here. He was being a real jerk.
He was giving her an attitude. He's a bit of a prick in this episode, but he's 12, so we forgive him. I remember seeing this episode for the first time and hearing Mabel's kind of justification being we're getting older, we don't have that many more chances to trick or treat.
So
I was 14 and it gave me this existential dread.
Your midlife crisis at 14.
I don't have that many more chances to trick or treat. I'm gonna be in college. I'm gonna be an adult with a job. That freaked me out so much when I was in high school.
Exactly, and this is the first time that they hit on that, and it's really sobering.
I felt so validated by Mabel saying that, because I'm I am terrified to grow up, and I am so glad it's not just this kid wants to grow up way too fast. They just hate being a kid. I'm glad they show the other perspective where Mabel is settled into it. She's let's enjoy this while it lasts, because it's not gonna last.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I think this episode has such strength even outside of it being a Halloween episode.
Can I just say a quick eulogy for Seuss's truck?
I guess it did kind of crash into the
He can fix
store.
it up with bumper stickers.
There's always plenty at the shack.
It looked like he just put a bunch of bumper stickers on it to cover up cracks and stuff.
Yeah, every time I get a dent, I just cover it up with a cool bumper sticker.
My face is so itchy, but I can't scratch it.
Oh no, I have no face and I must itch.
On the fandom wiki, there's a still of all of them doing the evil laugh at the end, and it says the gang celebrates pure evil.
That's a great
I love that Stan was the one to deliver that final big Disney moral
true meaning of
speech
Summerween
ending, and then this nice little twist at the end.
You know, kids, I've been thinking. At the end of the day, Summerween isn't about candy or costumes or even scaring people. It's a day when the whole family can get together in one place and celebrate what really matters. Pure evil!
I ate a man alive tonight.
They got a note about that ending being like, are we sure this is the message we want to portray? And they're like, yes!
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Halloween, it's evil.
They should know by now, this party is not standards and practices approved.
Exactly.
I didn't know what S&P was the first 800 times I watched this episode, but I heard him talking about it like a Comic-Con panel or something. The original line was, bottles will be spun. S&P kept fighting it. They're like, what's going to happen when they spin bottles? He's like, I don't know, they're going to kiss each other? Like, it's a party game.
Bottles will be spun. No photos better wind up online. And they're like, bottles will be spun. Spin the bottle reference. Impossible. Never on the Disney Channel. I was like, all right, like, you could watch Happy Days and, that wouldn't be offensive. Like, what decade are you guys living in? It was after, 5 emails, they were like, we're not budging. We've budged before. This is the last straw. So I was like, okay, replace bottles will be spun with not S&P approved. I was just basically being a dick at that point. And they were like, our audience won't understand that reference. I'm like, yeah, but is it, against the rules? And they're like, not S&P approved, has been approved by S&P.
Incredible. It's a fantastic story and perfectly encapsulates what dealing with standards and practices is like.
I think about it every time I hear the phrase standards and practices.
I always chuckle a little at the moment where it's a serious moment, it's an emotional moment, and I respect it on that level where she's like, if it wasn't for this monster, you were going to ditch me on our favorite holiday. And I get that she means Halloween, but it's like, well, you just found out that Summerween exists. This isn't your favorite holiday. But it's just, I don't know.
I do not know what she's saying.
Yeah, but it's Halloween 2 Electric Boogaloo, and it's like
AJ, do you like my song?
Halloween is there. Oh, we lost Mary.
Reprise. I'm turning Discord.
But you're right, it's just an extension of Halloween.
This happens every single time.
Or you could say Halloween is an extension of Summerween.
It's a very salient point that I definitely heard all of.
Thank you.
My app definitely didn't crash while you were saying all of that.
Unlike Seuss's truck.
Yeah.
Seuss, is at his most indefensible in this episode when he, is about to turn on the skull when they're being stalked by this monster and they're almost out and he's like, I need some levity. It's like, wait until you get home.
Well, hey, he screws them over less than Dipper does.
He takes the batteries out. Yeah, but, he's doing
he takes the batteries out. I just noticed that on this watch. The batteries have a little bat on them and they have battery written on the case of batteries.
So at the beginning, Stan pulls a calendar out of his pocket to point out that it's Summerween. In my head, I always remembered that being smaller. It's a full-size calendar that he was just carrying around.
In his pocket, and he carries it around all the time, according to him. What if I need to establish what day it is? Was it a calendar with the whole month on it? In my memory, it was a calendar that had every day was its own page. I'm like, well, that would be a massive calendar to carry in your pocket all the time, but it's by month.
Either way, it's really cumbersome.
I just love that they are pointing out how rushed and more concise this version of the opening is.
In the commentary, they talk about how it's such a cliche in holiday specials for someone to not be in the holiday spirit, the Christmas spirit or whatever, but they justified it by having it be a made-up holiday that they'd never heard about before today.
On the one hand, yes, it's a holiday that they just found out about that day, but on the other hand, where's your Summerween spirit, dude?
Alex Hirsch in that commentary, an example he uses is, I don't appreciate Rosh Hashanah. And that makes me laugh so much for some reason, I think just because I never hear it.
It's Rosh Hashanah right now. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this episode, is
to
be in time with Rosh Hashanah.
something on the Jewish calendar, so happy that.
Everyone appreciate it. Kristen Schaal we don't talk about her enough on this podcast, but she is a brilliant comedian and voice actress.
Can this become a Kristen Schaal podcast? Can this become the Shawlcast?
This is the Shawlcast now.
Into the shawl.
Yes, there it is. We did it.
You're welcome.
With Dipper smarts, Grenda's strength, Candy's know-how, and Seuss here.
And Seuss is here.
Seuss is here.
And then, her whole emotional beat toward the end is fantastic too. Or that way she delivers I guess I didn't realize it was already our last one.
Kristen Schaal has two.
That was great delivery.
Has two very big modes in this role, and she is either hilarious or she makes me want to cry.
I know. Sometimes at the same time. Do you realize what this means, Mabel? I do. You have to come trick-or-treating with us!
Yay!
Also, do we want to talk about, what's the name of the pig?
Waddles. Our boy Waddles.
Do we want to talk about him becoming an internet meme star in the end credits scene?
But specifically an early 2010s meme star.
A cheeseburger cat-esque image macro impact font meme star.
That's probably the most dated thing in this episode, is the credits tag.
Not the flip phone?
Nah, those memes are eternal.
They will never not be funny. We're getting kind of a post-ironic...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What a way to make...
Yeah,
my one complaint with that song. My one complaint
but...
with that song is the original Dolly Parton version is too short.
You think it should go on forever?
Yeah.
I do too.
Speaking of business and 9 to 5 and putting in that work, AJ, I just got an email from the Gravity Falls Board of Tourism. They sent us an ad copy. They want you to read it on the podcast, so I'll send you that right now.
I guess it's time for another segment of Tourist Treats, where to go the next time you're in Gravity Falls, with our fabulous sponsor, the Gravity Falls Tourism Board. It's your fiendish friend AJ with another edition of Tourist Treats, presented by the Gravity Falls Board of Terrorism. Wait, no, not that. Sorry. It was supposed to be a Summerween pun, but I forgot terrorism is a real thing that exists. Presented by the Gravity Falls Board of Tourism. Tourism. Nothing else. When you think of a spooky theme park experience, what comes to mind? An elaborate setting with actors jumping out of bushes to scare you and your friends? A haunted hayride at the pumpkin patch? Well, we'll see all that and raise you Summerween Scary Nights, a week of ghoulish delights spread across town. Sure, the only watermelon patch in town is on private property that we don't have permission to hold events on, and we don't have hay or wagons big enough for multiple people, but you and your kids will hardly know the difference between a hay wagon and a radio flyer full of grass. Become immersed in the festively decorated Gravity Falls dump as we lure Old Man McGucket with a sausage dangling from a stick to pull you along. Grown-ups and older kids, brace yourselves for our town square terror maze. Be sure to sign those waivers because I think a few of the actors don't understand that the weapons need to be fake. Either way, you're sure to get the candy corn scared right out of you. Want something more low-key that'll still add some chills to your hot summer night? Wait until the sun goes down and join the Gravity Falls Gossiper Ghost Tour. Toby Determined has scoured the archives for the most harrowing haunts in our town's history and failed to secure permission from the victims' families to use their stories in his tour. But he really needs a win right now, so we tweak the details of some classic horror tales to make them relevant. Just don't question it when he starts talking about the child murderer burned to death in a boiler room by vengeful parents, or the woman who went on a killing spree at Camp Scuttlebutt after her son drowned in the lake. Who needs a fancy California park with an exorbitant budget? We've got everything you need to get into the Summerween spirit, from family fun to physical trauma. Join us for Summerween Scary Nights, if you dare. By the way, Summerween Scary Nights is not a real event because a lot of those activities would be very illegal, and we at Into the Falls are not responsible for you being terrified by this dumb parody ad.
Why does Toby feel the need to get scary stories to tell at his event when he can just walk outside and show his face to people attending?
Well, he needs to feel like he's scaring them for other reasons.
Okay.
He needs to feel like it's not just his horrifying appearance.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So the kids, when Seuss crashes through the Summerween trickster, first of all, he thinks it was maybe just a regular pedestrian, this giant monster with 8 arms.
He's not that bothered by it. He's just checking.
That wasn't a regular pedestrian, was it?
Yeah, he's just checking. Also, the kids, they fall from a pretty big height and their heads smash against the asphalt and they're just fine. They survive it.
Fine.
They don't crack their skulls open.
Walk it off. Well, Mabel banged her elbow. She needed a bandage.
That's true. She
got
got
the extent to which we are willing to hurt these children in this show.
One of them got one bruise on their elbow, and that's it.
Stan can fake having his face melted off, and he can fake having a pig burst from inside his chest.
And very real guts coming out of his body.
I've never seen a chain of sausage links in real life.
Yeah,
I see them so much in cartoons.
That's just a thing in cartoons.
I live in Texas, and barbecue's a thing here, so I've seen.
Oh, that's where the Chainsaw Massacre happened.
The Chain Link Massacre.
Talking of classic horror films.
I do always get very sad at that moment, though, where it's everybody put on their seatbelts, and then Mabel just gives the nod because she's upset, and then
she's not talking.
Just that that awful feeling where you're trying to make it right with a person and you know that you screwed up.
The fact that he wanted to leave her behind, even if before it was life-threatening, was something pretty simple. It was something that they were excited about together, and then suddenly he just turned his back on it.
Without even communicating what was going on.
Yeah.
Felt like he couldn't even say it.
Yeah, and it's you were just gonna fake being sick and then ditch me. It's like he's embarrassed to be seen with her.
Yeah, that feels like abandonment rather than simply saying, hey, Wendy's throwing this party and I kind of was thinking I could go to that, and then she would probably be way less upset.
That's kind of Dipper's fatal flaw in this episode, is that not only is he trying to turn his back on this, but he's lying about it.
He's trying to, okay, I can do this with Mabel and then sneak off and nobody has to know. He doesn't want to admit that he wants what he wants. It's a very conflict-avoidant way of doing it that creates more conflict.
There's a surprising amount of pathos in this Halloween special.
Kind of ironic to me that that Dipper doesn't want Wendy and the older kids to know that he's trick-or-treating with Mabel, and then in turn he doesn't want Mabel to know that he wants to go to a party because he likes Wendy.
Well, with the party, it's he doesn't want to go trick-or-treating because he's afraid he'll be embarrassed, but he's also afraid to hurt Mabel's feelings. And when Mabel's feelings are hurt, they're hurt bad. But then he just hurts them even worse by not talking to her about it.
Exactly. And it was all for nothing anyway because Wendy left the party early.
Because the party sucked.
I feel like those, at that age, parties are always a little more alluring in theory than they are in practice. Because it's all right, we're gonna get lit. None of us can buy alcohol.
Yeah, so you're just not doing anything.
You're just sitting around and talking about stuff, and sometimes there's
music.
And
I love that Robbie got sick in the dorkiest possible way. The most embarrassing way.
Yeah.
Ate a lollipop stick first.
I didn't understand that.
He just tossed it into his mouth.
I didn't understand that at first.
Ate a lollipop stick.
I literally thought he was the first one to eat a lollipop, not that he ate the stick.
He ate the stick and he choked on it and had to go to the hospital.
You were hearing the sentence as Robbie ate a lollipop stick first. Rather than Robbie ate a lollipop stick first.
The jump scare video that the kids show Stan, those are kind of outdated too, right? You don't really see those anymore.
You gotta look at the car driving on the hill. Oh no!
What scares you two freaks?
Here, watch this.
What? What is this? Some kind of kitten or...
God,
play the
that's
genius
immediately
game.
what I thought
Play the
of.
maze game. Can you do it?
Stare at this red dot for 30 seconds. I promise nothing's gonna happen.
What is it nowadays then?
It's probably just vloggers pretending there's there's a scary clown outside my house. This definitely isn't staged.
Yeah.
Because their audience is kids and they're not gonna know.
remember the clowns?
Oh hey, I'm in Japan and I'm walking through a forest where people killed themselves.
Oh yeah, that's one of them.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
I do love Stan's running commentary on it. He's oh, wait, what is this? I got a kitten or
I like that he doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah.
I guess because of his cataracts.
And I love his little...
He doesn't know internet
when
videos.
When the kids bursted on him in the bathroom, he's what's that?
Anytime
he
doesn't even register that they're there. They almost saw an old man naked. They didn't because it's Disney Channel.
It's a very funny implication in that you're did they really
you know
do
what?
that?
They would not be as horrified as they were if they didn't see Stan naked. But then he made the effort to put on some boxer shorts and go make sure
okay, is that your headcanon?
What's going on here?
Yeah, maybe. It's a good bait and switch because you're there's no way that the Disney Channel just had Grunkle Stan flash these kids, and then they turned the camera back around. He's got his boxers on. Okay,
he would be on a list.
I feel like Stan.
Punch!
Stan just bathed with his boxers on.
I always
weird.
took it as he's just getting ready to get in the shower, he was about to take them off, but then the kids burst in.
He would probably never cleanse the shame of him being accidentally seen by these kids
Probably,
naked.
but
he's not ashamed.
He got candy. He got candy out
he
of
successfully scared them.
And he stole their giant bags of candy. And I love the shot right before they cut to the kids walking in where he's wash off the shame, and he's so very slowly undoing his robe. They slow it down for a few frames.
Hey everybody, it's Mary from the future, just letting you know that I did put together a little game for us to play during this recording, and we did. And I made way too many rounds of it, and it took way too long. It was very fun and very funny. It's just too long to keep in this episode. So hopefully we'll be able to release it as a bonus episode closer to Halloween. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the Summerween podcast.
That was a good game, AJ. Good game, Mary.
Yeah, well won. Well won, Ella.
Thank you. Do I get, like, some kind of Halloween virtual prize?
You get to tell us what the next episode is.
That's true.
Or what's behind the last curtain. Maybe a jump scare. Whoa.
You get a JPEG of a piece of candy in your inbox.
Awesome. I own this now, and this chopped down 3 rainforests to prove that I owned it.
You get an NFT of a piece of Halloween candy.
Awesome.
All right.
And that's the real scary thing, is the climate crisis.
Oh, don't forget
yes,
the codes, too.
I forgot what the code is for this one, but I will.
I remember what it is.
Ella, you're our guest. Go ahead and tell us.
The code this week is brought to you by Homework the Candy.
Don't knock it till you try it.
What would Homework the Candy taste like?
It tastes like how homework feels.
It tastes like hard deadlines and stress.
Homework the candy. Just get it out of the way.
Then you can have some actual candy.
Yeah. The next episode, after a 4-month hiatus, the first really big one in Gravity Falls history, is Boss Mabel.
You kids are just going to be able to skip right over the hiatus. You don't know what we went through. There is a podcast where we have a whole episode about the hiatus. If you want to listen to our Mystery Shack Lookback episode about that should be out by now.
It will almost certainly be out by the time they're hearing this, because I don't know how long this is going to take. AJ, you can listen to it up to the Hall of Conspiracies part and then turn it right off. All right, Ella, anything else to plug before we hop off?
So I am an animator. I make the cartoons. I have made a couple films that are pretty well received. There's my film from last year called Slam Poet. You can follow me at DrawnWithoutRef on Twitter and Instagram. And of course you can listen to the Gravity Falls podcast that I host along with my good buddy Charlie Marlowe. That is MysteryShackLookback.libsyn.com or find it on Pipe Dream Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Anywhere?
I'm not one to judge where people get their podcasts.
I get mine from straight out of my butthole.
Well, I don't know if you can find it in the sewer.
Yeah, as always, you can find me in the sewers,
right?
Floating.
Let's see, another fun project I would love to plug, other than my other podcast, the Gravity Falls podcast, Mystery Shack Lookback, of course, which is actually still going to have a few very special new episodes coming up at the time of this release. There's also my other podcast that I do with my good friend Hope Lickner. It's called The Matrix Reclamations, and it is about sort of examining every piece of the Matrix franchise from a trans femme perspective. And you can check that out on Zencaster or wherever you get your podcasts. Another very exciting thing I have in the works with my good friend Knack Whittle is that we have helped organize a whole bunch of artists, just all kinds of weirdos and freaks and artists, and we're all working on a big zine celebrating the 50th anniversary of my favorite film, Phantom of the Paradise, which, to give you the kind of elevator pitch for that, it's basically Phantom of the Opera as a 1970s rock opera, sort of a pre-Rocky Horror, directed by Brian De Palma, who directed Carrie, and it stars, and the songs are written by Paul Williams, who wrote The Rainbow Connection for the Muppets and a bunch of other Muppet songs, and a bunch of other songs just in general. And the zine itself is called Not Just Songs, a 50th anniversary Phantom of the Paradise zine, and it is very close to completion. The pre-orders and the online copies are going to go up on October 31st on Halloween, the actual 50th anniversary of the movie. And all of the profits from the zine sales are going to go to a to-be-announced charity. So please do check that out. You can follow it at POTP Zine, that's Z-I-N-E, on all of the social medias that you could possibly think of.
Thank you for having me. This was a wonderful, spooky time. I loved meeting Specter, and I loved talking with you about Halloween. And
Specter was like so long ago that I forgot I did it. I mean, I forgot he dropped in and said hi to you guys while I was gone.
I just loved talking about this episode with y'all. Thank you for having me.
It was great to have you. Come back on anytime, honestly.
Great pleasure.
AJ, just add in like the...
Oh, man, look at you.
Good night.
Specter needs to sign off.
You guys took so long that I watched Malignant while I was gone.
Oh, was that any good?
It's pretty good. I don't want to say anything because Mary actually hasn't seen it.
This has been Into the Falls. You can find me at Mabel Page Pines on Twitter and Instagram. That's Mabel, P-A-G-E Pines. I'm also May Page on YouTube and Film Knife on Medium and WordPress. That's where I post my film reviews and essays, editorials, etc. You can follow the show on Twitter at The Falls Cast, all one word, and Into the Falls Podcast on YouTube. And I will hand it off to AJ.
This podcast is hosted and produced by Mary McKeon and AJ Sanchez, and our theme song and some of the music is by Kevin MacLeod. Oh, and follow me on Instagram. And I make YouTube videos sometimes. Unca AJ. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, trust no one!
Should I try to do the Pennywise
Yes!
dance from the 2017?
Yes! Okay. We're not even... Yeah, I will delay all conversations about Gravity Falls in order to see this.
Hang on, I think I know the dance, so let me dance with you.
Yes, please. Please do it.
Am I far back enough?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yes! AJ's doing it really well.
That's the best I can do.
AJ's doing it really well, oh my god. Perfect.